First Coast's most accurate forecast from the First Coast News Weather Team, certified by Weather Rate, sponsored by AC Designs.
Hey there, friends. I'm meteorologist Robert Spetta, and boy, we got plenty to talk about in the night sky. Of course, I typically talk about the weather, but today, tomorrow, and Sunday, at least in our neck of the woods on the First Coast, thus First Coast News, the weather's beautiful. We got sunny skies, we got lower dew points, and I shouldn't just say sunny, we got clear skies, so you'll be able to see things at night. And see right here in the lower third, we got a parade of planets that are going to be viewable in our night sky. This does include Venus, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn, and more specifically, not listed on this graphic, and it's only going to happen tonight and tomorrow night, Mercury. Now, I'm going to manage your expectations here. Not like you're going to have a conjunction and it's going to be like the movies. You're looking up and there's like planets. And even Mercury is going to be really, really faint. You're going to have to know exactly where to look exactly after sunset, which is going to be in the western sky, closer to the sun, because it's our closest planet to the sun. So naturally, you wouldn't be looking away from the sun. You'd be looking towards the west. Right after the sun goes down, you might be able to see just a little bit of a faint kind of star. And let me show you what these look like if you're not aware of what you're supposed to be looking for here. This actually shows right here. See that kind of star to the top right of downtown? It's almost in the middle of your screen. That's Jupiter. Here at 12:30 last night. So that's what it's going to look like. It's going to be pretty much a bright star. Now, actually, if you're in a dark sky area, so you're away from natural lights, or artificial lights, I should say, there's going to be a lot of stars out there. So you look for the brightest ones, and a simple way to spot planets versus stars is they're the ones that don't twinkle, believe it or not, because there's less of a distance for that light to travel, so you're not getting as much refraction and, just disturbance and everything like that. So they don't twinkle. Fun little fact there for you. But you can also use apps. I have one on my phone called Skyview. It's a free app. There's a paid part of it you can subscribe to, but basically you literally take your phone, you hold it up like this, and you point it at a section of the sky, and it'll tell you what you're looking at. So you can kind of find where these planets are. But specifically Venus after sunset, I've had people write me and go, what in the world is that? Just after sunset, because Venus has been looking like this just big old bright light in the western sky after sunset. Pretty easy to spot. Jupiter after sunset, if you look directly overhead, you should be able to spot it. And then Mars, you see it's on the left side of the screen. So Mars is actually going to be rising just after sunset. So if you look towards the east, it'll be kind of a bright red-looking dot. I don't like saying a red-looking star because it's obviously not a star, but it'll be like this bright kind of red-looking dot in the western sky. So if you look due west, you should be able to spot Mars. And you know what's cool, because we're all on the same orbital plane, is that once you find one, and especially if you find two, it literally is a parade of planets because they line up single file because we're on the same orbital plane. So the planets are going to be traversing across the same section of sky. It's not like you look north or south. From east to west, basically find where the sun set. Mercury should be right above that. And then right above that, you should be able to spot Venus, or actually Saturn should be right in there too. Then you keep looking directly overhead, Jupiter, and then you look towards the west, you should be able to spot Mars. Thus, we call it our parade of planets. Uranus and Neptune, you probably want a good telescope to spot those guys. And you got to be in a really good dark area. So this video is not for people that probably will be able to spot those, because you got to leave that up to the professionals. They know where to look. But the other ones, they're all visible to the naked eye. You just need to know exactly where to look and try my best. Basically, look towards the west, towards where the sun sets. If you can find Mercury, good on ya. But today and tomorrow, the only days you'll be able to see Mercury. And And by the way, what's really cool about this, because you might be thinking, I see Venus, I see Jupiter all the time. What are you talking about here, weather boy? This will be the only time until 2040 that you'll be able to see all the visible to the naked eye planets at the same time. That being Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, and that's it. And Earth, I suppose. If you look down at the ground, you'll be able to spot it. So if you guys got any questions on this, let me know. I got the comments rolling here on Facebook. I would love to hear from you if you're curious about, what's going on in our night sky, because this is not the only thing. There's a few things happening out here. First off, the Parade of Planets, super cool. Even if you're in downtown Jacksonville or any metro area, you look up, you're going to be able to spot these planets pretty easily, especially Venus and Jupiter. They're super bright out there. If you have a telescope, I took this photo 2 days ago. We had some clear skies out here. So this is what I took with a relatively cheap telescope, but that's Jupiter and the moons around it of Io, Europa, Ganymede, and Callisto, the Galileo moons, as you like to say. These are the 4 moons that basically proved that the Earth was not the center of the universe, because Galileo looked up in the 1400s with his really kind of rudimental telescope and said, whoa, hold the phone. There's some dots orbiting that star out there. That makes no sense. And thus we have our modern day kind of technology, or not modern day astrophysics and everything. It was the leading edge of that. That's why we call these the Galileo moons, because he discovered them. Super cool stuff. So if you have a telescope and let's say you are looking at the sky, you can even see these with binoculars too. So if you're already going outside and you're looking up and you're like, okay, I'm going to find these planets, get some binoculars. You might be able to spot the Galileo moons around Jupiter. So speaking of the moon, maybe looking at planets a little bit too hard for you. You just want to look at the moon. Pretty hard to miss. Right now, actually, might be having a hard time because we're in a new moon phase. But in 2 weeks, we're going to be back into a full moon phase. And at the same time, we're also going to have the moon pass through the shadow. We all know what that means. It's an eclipse. Not a solar eclipse. We're not talking about that. A solid lunar eclipse, or a blood moon, is coming up on March 13th. If you want to see it, and you want to talk some science with me, I will be out at Little Talbot Island for a full moon hike, talking with some people out there about weather and astronomy and all of that good stuff. So if you want to step by, Little Talbot Island, I'll be doing a little just like after sunset. This will actually peak at 11:57, but a full blood moon, if the skies are clear, it's super cool to see. I mean, I've seen them a few times, but basically the moon turns like a kind of a lightish red. I have seen those pictures where it's like super red. A lot of times that is just kind of a filter on a picture, but it still looks pretty cool. It's some science. I love me some science. It's different. You're looking up, you know what's happening. You know that the moon is passing between or passing into the Earth's shadow. That's why it only happens when it's a full moon, too, because the sun has to be fully illuminating the disk. So when it passes into that Earth shadow, it becomes kind of a blood moon. Still on, oh gosh, there's so much to talk about in astronomy here today. Still on the topic of the moon, check out this video. This was shared by NASA's Blue Ghost just yesterday. Wow. This thing's going to be touching down on the moon. It's a probe. Nobody's on board. It's pretty cool. Ooh, goodness, that's their logo from Firefly Aerospace. Let's go back to the moon. This is off their Facebook page. So if you want to look them up, check it out. Here you go. This is the far side of the moon. It's fully illuminated in this because, fun fact, the far side of the moon, as it's called often, the dark side of the moon. It's not dark. When we're in a new moon phase here on Earth and we look up and it's dark, what do you think the other side of the moon looks like? It's fully illuminated. And this probe is flying around the far side of the moon. A lot more craters out there. It looks just absolutely spectacular. Got mountain ranges and everything. This is one of the first just super high res images of the far side of the moon at such a low orbit. It's super cool to see. Science, you gotta love it. Absolutely love it. This will be touching down on March 2nd, I believe, in the morning, Eastern time. Just keep an eye out for their stream. It's going to be super cool. Some new, fresh images of the moon. And this is all building up, of course, to Artemis and sending people back to the moon, which I went and watched that launch here back in last 2 years ago. Goodness gracious, it's been a little while. So, yeah, something super cool to check out. Speaking of the moon, on top of another thing coming up on April 25th. So we're looking ahead, friends, to the Smile Face Conjunction. This is neat. So if you're still looking at the planets and the moon, both of these are going to come together on April 25th, where Venus and Saturn are going to appear above the crescent moon. And it's going to look cool. It's going to look like, I'm sure ancient people thousands and thousands of years ago would have seen this and went, "Oh, hold the phone. What's that cat from Alice in Wonderland? The shark. Do you know what I'm talking about, Andy? What's that cat called? Shark cat? Something like that. He goes invisible, but you can only see his smile in his eyes. That's what it's going to look like. It's super cool, though. It'll be easy to spot on April 25th after the sun sets. The moon will be rising in the west, probably around 10, 11 o'clock. And you'll be able to see the crescent moon, and just above it, you'll be able to spot Venus and Saturn kind of forming the eyes. And it's a cool way to see the night sky. It's kind of rare to have them line up just like that, and always cool to see. And then we have the Lyran meteor shower right after that, which is another one of my favorite things, going out on here in the meteor showers in the night sky. Look towards the bright star of Vega. It's usually one of the brightest stars in the sky. If you have that Skyview app, you can use it to try to check what's going on out there. Do note 5 to 20 meteors per hour, which at first glance it sounds like a lot, but it's not really. And at least there's going to be no moon, so there won't be much washout from the moon. But just keep that in mind. You're not going to see like this illustration of me pointing at the sky. It ain't going to look like that at all, friends. It'll be just, okay, wait 5 minutes. All right, maybe there's another one. So just something to keep in mind. By the way, continuing to check our stream here on our social media. If you have any questions, maybe you want curious exactly where you need to look or what you're trying to see here, let me know, and I'll try to answer that as soon as possible. Plus, in just a moment, I have an interview coming up with the director of astrophysics at NASA. He's talking about a rocket launch that's going to be taking off on Sunday out of Vandenberg. It has a probe on board studying the sun, and another probe looking into deep space. Super cool. Stand by about 5 minutes. I'm going to show you guys that as well. We're talking about science here. I do want to share a little trivia with you guys. If you can comment, let me know what you think it is. Andy, our digital director, let me know if you know this one too. So the term being on top of cloud nine, I'm sure we've all heard of this term. I didn't know this until a few days ago, so I'm trying to pass on and share this knowledge. What do you think this is based on in regards to weather? The question is, being on the North Pole is one of the answers, being on top of a cumulonimbus cloud, jumping out of a hot air balloon, maybe a weather balloon, or on top of a cirrus cloud. I'll give you a second to think about it. Write it down in the comment section if you're watching here on Facebook or YouTube, and I'll give you the answer right now. It is this. It is being on top of a cumulonimbus cloud. Now let me tell you why. This is neat. So cloud types are basically in layers. We have low clouds, middle cloud, high clouds. So in the low clouds, middle cloud, high clouds are divided within categories of 9 types of clouds. Low cloud 1, for example, is cumulus cloud. Low cloud 3 is a cumulonimbus cloud. Low cloud 5 is nimbostratus, I believe. But low cloud 9 is cumulonimbus mammatus, basically the biggest of the big clouds. So these extend 30, 40,000 feet into the atmosphere. These are the tall, summertime severe thunderstorms. And if you're on top of cloud 9, you're above everything else. And that's the term, being elated, excited, about things, that's where that term comes from. Science! I love it, guys. A little bit of lore behind that. By the way, speaking of severe weather, in Jacksonville, or the First Coast, by the way, on this day, if we have to go back to 1984, we did have a F2 tornado in Clay County. Lasted for 3 miles, cost about $250,000 in damages. 3 injuries were reported. I mentioned this in the middle of a space talk because make sure you check out First Coast News on our .com, our weather page. It is that time of year where we do have some storms in the extended forecast. I'm not saying they're severe just yet, but something we're watching in that extended outlook. If you go there, firstcoastnews.com, make sure you have that First Coast News app. We're always going to give you the latest forecast and trying our best to keep you informed, not only on the sciences of here, but also those weather forecasts. So, yeah, Tiffany guessed D. Tiffany, not quite, but you were close. I like it. I like the interaction, and hopefully you learn something. And like I said, with that trivia question, I didn't know that until a few days ago. I probably would have gotten it wrong. So I'm just trying to sound smart, I suppose. Hey, all right. Once again, the whole reason why we're here in the title on the bottom of the screen, we got that parade of planets visible tonight. This has been visible throughout February and will continue into March. Most of the planets, but one that's not listed here that will be visible here on Friday over towards Saturday, will be Mercury. So that means Mercury, Venus, Earth, I guess looking at the ground, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus and Neptune also if you have binoculars, but all those will be visible at the same time just after sunset tonight. They're just going to appear as dots. Mercury is going to be really hard to see, so you got to know where to look, right where the sun sets. Look towards, don't look at the sun, but after the sun goes down, it'll be just a faint dot on the horizon. But you'll see it. Super cool. Love me some science. Always trying my best to inform you guys on what's going on out there. So I'm going to leave you with this talk I had with Dr. Goldman, the astrophysicist director at NASA, about these upcoming missions, 2 for the price of 1. So they got 1 rocket launch, 2 probes on board. You know what? I'm just going to be quiet. I'm going to toss to this. This is my discussion with him I had a few days ago. So enjoy your day. Keep looking up and enjoy some science out there, friends. 2 for the price of 1. NASA has an upcoming rocket launch with 2 missions on board. 1 to look at the sun and the other to the deepest points of our universe.
Punch and Spherex. We've got both Punch and Spherex launching in the same rocket. We've done ride shares before where we've put up a bunch of small satellites of the same thing into space. Actually, that's what Punch is. It's a bunch of small sats we're putting up together. But this is the first time we've got 2 separate missions of this magnitude we're stacking together in a single rocket, which is really exciting for us because we get to talk about heliophysics and astrophysics with you all. It's also a great deal for the American taxpayer because we get 2 launches for the price of 1. And that's possible because of the launch services provider team that we've been working with and our partners at SpaceX that made this great rocket that's going to get us to space.
All right. And they are launching from Vandenberg, right?
Yeah, so we're launching from Vandenberg out here in California this weekend, and we're going to just keep updating as the day goes on for the latest on that.
So what is Punch?
So Punch is a constellation of a bunch of spacecraft. They're all about suitcase sized. We're able to stack them together, and each one of them has the same instruments on them. And what those instruments are going to be doing is they're looking at our sun, which is a star, and it's going to be looking specifically at sort of a broad view of the corona, the sort of wispy stuff you might see during an eclipse around the sun. That carries both energy and material to the Earth that impacts us in our daily lives. And by looking at that with that really wide view, we're going to be able to sort of tell that full story of trajectory of both the stuff that comes from the sun and the energy that comes from the sun as it reaches Earth, so we can better understand those impacts to us back here at home. And that's everything from communication satellites to GPS to just lots of things in our everyday lives is impacted by our host star.
I guess and the follow up with that question, because I know back in May and I believe September, we had a lot of auroras here. Would this be able to better predict something like that?
What we'll get from that is a better understanding of the processes happening during those auroras, so that we can understand when they happen, what it will mean for us on the back end.
And this will help us understand the impact of the sun on our modern technology and everyday lives. Now, SphereX will be looking away from the sun at the deepest points of the universe.
Yeah, so SphereX is an all-sky survey. It's going to get us actually 4 separate images of the night sky over its 2-year period. It's going to do it in the infrared, so colors of light that are redder than the reddest that our eyes can see. When it does that, what I'd like to tell people is, if you're familiar with the James Webb Space Telescope, our flagship that's looking out into the cosmos, that's what you would use to see a picture of an egg on a nest on a tree, whereas SphereX is getting us the forest. But for astronomers, the forest is the known universe. The thing that it is designed to do when it maps that whole night sky is see enough galaxies so that we can do what I call cosmological forensics. We're going to see sort of the imprints of the earliest moments of the universe's history much later on in the universe's history.
I asked him, what is the most important thing in regards to both of these missions?
For me, the thing I really like about having these 2 missions launched together is at NASA, we really do 2 things. We look at things that could impact our daily lives, and we answer the big questions. And have these 2 missions, one of which is looking at how the sun can impact us, and the other that's asking these profound questions about how the universe began. To me, that's really an encapsulation of really the value that we bring back to you all at home.
Dr. Domago Goodman also heads up the HWO, or the Habitable World Observatory, which has an extra unique mission to that.
So everything that we build and send into space, it is unique and capable of doing things that nothing before it has been able to do. And one of the ones we're excited about for the future is the Habitable Worlds Observatory. That's a mission that's going to be designed to take a picture of a planet around another star and analyze the data from that picture to see if that other planet has signs of life, global biospheres other than our own. And that is another one of those profound questions we get to answer in astrophysics. Are we alone in this universe?
I ask this of every NASA person that I talk to. Are aliens out there then? And it's a good follow-up to that question. What are your thoughts?
Well, so I would say yes, but what's more, I think the thing that's cooler to me as a scientist and as a nerd is not just like what I think or what you think, it's that we now can apply the scientific method to that question. We can literally design a science experiment to send up into space and answer that question of, are aliens out there? That's something people have pondered, in like bar rooms and in philosopher clubs for millennia. Now we can build an experiment to test it, and that's what's exciting to me.
And for more information, please check our website. I'm meteorologist Robert Speta. As well as overseas, inside and covering typhoons, some of the biggest storms on Earth, and taking all of that knowledge back here to the First Coast and in the Jacksonville, and help tracking our hurricanes and severe weather in our neighborhood, knowing how they impact not only our local community, but the military as well. And number one thing, of course, is being on your side, keeping you safe with your most accurate forecast. So make sure you download that First Coast News app, and also you can stream our newscast on First Coast News FCN Plus, as well as any severe weather or special weather coverage as well. I'm meteorologist Robert Speta, First Coast News, on your side.
First Coast News on your side with Weather Impact Alert Days. When weather conditions could inconvenience you, let the First Coast most accurate weather team prepare you for Weather Impact Alert Days, highlighted in our forecast days in advance. Trust our forecast to give you more clarity on the days you need to be aware. We're committed to make sure you know what's to come so you can be ready for it. Trust the First Coast most accurate weather team. Trust Weather Impact Alert Days.
We're going to call it a weather alert period between 3 and 7.
I love to forecast the weather.
My passion is making sure you are prepared and you are ready to start your day.
I grew up watching First Coast News. I grew up watching Tim Deegan.
Meteorology is not only my job, it's my hobby. I love being a meteorologist. I love being a part of your day.
Earning your trust We can't be on your side by just telling you that.
When it comes to a forecast, trust isn't just one thing. Trust is the only thing that matters.
People plan their day around the forecast, and we know that.
We do our best to give you the most accurate outlook, and it's even graded.
I think it's an honor to be a part of the most accurate weather team.
How can I be a better forecaster and better communicator for you?
Every storm,
Every forecast.
Earning your trust is just the beginning. We promise to keep it.
The First Coast's most accurate weather team, sponsored by AC Designs.
Hi, I'm meteorologist Lee Southwick. You're watching the First Coast News Weather Channel. We are proud to have been named the most accurate weather team in Jacksonville for the 5th year in a row by Weather Rate. We take our forecasting very seriously, and we want to get every detail right and accurate. We know weather impacts your day, whether it's going to work, going to school, running errands, going to the beach, or out on the water. You need to know what time that rain is going to arrive, how hot it's going to be, if fog is going to impact you, or if it's windy. And we want to nail it every day for you. We promise to keep working hard to stay the most accurate when it comes to forecasting for the First Coast.
You're looking for answers. You need to understand the facts. You want the truth.
So I've been doing this over 42 years. It is not boring.
The First Coast is my home. I grew up here and I worked really hard to get back here.
because I want you to be ready for what's coming.
You got to make sure you're exactly on point with your forecast.
Being part of the most accurate weather team, we can give you that trust, helping you stay safe.
Every single day, I can become a better forecaster.
You earn someone's trust by showing up every day for them.
Why does it matter in a forecast? Trust isn't everything, it's the only thing.
Consistency with, the accuracy in your forecast.
You're planning your day around it. You're planning your life around the weather forecast.
Every storm.
Every forecast.
We are earning your trust.
Earning your trust is just the beginning. We promise to keep it.
Rely on the team working every day to earn your trust. First Coast News, on your side.
Hi, folks. I'm meteorologist Lewis Turner, working here at First Coast News. We're on your side. Been here since 2010, forecasting the weather for Southeast Georgia, for the First Coast, and Northeast Florida. And it is a blessing and a treat to get to do it and work here with the First Coast News Weather Channel, which is powered by the First Coast's most accurate weather team.
I love to forecast the weather.
My passion is making sure you are prepared to start your day.
I grew up watching First Coast News. I grew up watching Tim Deegan.
Meteorology is not only my job, it's my hobby.
I love being a meteorologist. I love being a part of your day.
When it comes to a forecast, trust isn't just one thing. Trust is the only thing that matters.
Earning your trust is just the beginning. We promise to keep it.
The First Coast's most accurate weather team, sponsored by AC Designs.
I'm meteorologist Robert Spetta, First Coast News on your side. I've been working in meteorology for almost 20 years now, working with the Navy, even at Naval Station Mayport, as well as overseas, inside and covering typhoons, some of the biggest storms on Earth, and taking all that knowledge back here to the First Coast and in the Jacksonville, and help tracking our hurricanes and severe weather in our neighborhood, knowing how they impact not only our local community, but the military as well. And number one thing, of course, is being on your side, keeping you safe with your most accurate forecast. So make sure you download that First Coast News app, and also you can stream our newscast on First Coast News FCN Plus, as well as any severe weather or special weather coverage as well. I'm meteorologist Robert Spetta, First Coast News on your side.
First Coast News on your side with Weather Impact Alert Days. When weather conditions could inconvenience you, let the First Coast most accurate weather team prepare you for Weather Impact Alert Days, highlighted in our forecast days in advance. Trust our forecast to give you more clarity on the days you need to be aware.